Imagine trying to log into Nitro Type with the intention of getting your daily session, and when you find that races are taking forever to load, graphics look super slow and laggy, and the site generally feels like it's working in slow motion. This is lag, and it's one of the biggest problems facing the Nitro Type player base, considering that most people play Nitro Type on lower end computers, and also considering that Nitro Type does have a fair bit of animated elements, it makes sense that many people have to deal with lag. Additionally, some of these cheaper computers don't have the greatest build quality, screen quality, and transportability. However, does it really make sense to upgrade your computer? Additionally, what's the general experience like using computers at different price points? That's what I've set out to find in today's video. I'll be testing a few different computers with different specs and seeing if there is a large difference in races per hour, as well as other pros and cons of each computer. Now, how exactly am I going to run this experiment? First, I'll be using an alternate account without gold membership. I want to see the effect that ads have on my loading times. I'll also be locking my words per minute to around 100. This ensures that any difference in session time is due to the computer's hardware and not my own typing ability. Of course, not every race will be at exactly the same words per minute, but it should be pretty close. I'll be doing 10 races on each computer. I'll divide the final time by 10 to see how long each race takes on average, and then I'll multiply that number by 100 to see how long it would take to do a 100 race session. At the end, I'll compare each computer and see how much of a difference each price point makes. I'll also discuss general pros and cons of each type of computer and compare other elements of the computer such as build quality, transportability, and price. Also, one huge disclaimer, all of these computers run faster if they don't have to run ads, although a slower computer will still have a hard time running Nitro Type, as you will see. Let's get started with the Chromebook. My first impressions were not great. It was super laggy and everything took forever to load. The keyboard, however, was pretty high quality for such a cheap laptop. The membrane switches felt about as tactile as membrane switches can be, and the keyboard never gave me any response issues. I've tried several Chromebooks at this point, and all of them tend to have pretty good keyboards for a laptop of that price point. The screen, on the other hand, isn't great. It's small, has terrible color accuracy, and doesn't get very bright. I definitely would not want to do long sessions with this thing. The build quality is relatively durable. It's made out of rubberized plastic that could probably take a beating. I wouldn't worry about taking this somewhere if I needed to do a typing session on the go. The Chromebook also doesn't weigh a whole lot, and even the charger is lightweight. I would easily be able to carry it around if I needed to go places. The battery life on this thing is actually pretty good, but when running Nitro Type, the battery life probably won't be great because the hardware has to work hard to run the animations. If you want to use this for just racing, it would work, but content creators should probably stay away. The thing would probably explode if you tried to record with it. Not every Chromebook is this way, but most lower end ones are. For session efficiency, it took me 7 minutes and 23 seconds to do 10 races at a fixed speed of around 100 words per minute. This means that the average race time on this Chromebook is 44.3 seconds per race. This means that a 100 race session would take 1 hour, 13 minutes, and 49.8 seconds to do. As for the price, I couldn't find an exact number because there's a varying number of Chromebooks and they all kind of look the same, but these usually run from about $150 to $250 US. The next computer I tested was just a normal Windows 10 laptop. My first impressions were pretty normal. It worked well, loaded Nitro Type quickly, and didn't have too much lag. Keep in mind that a computer can load stuff quickly and still run the animations poorly. This one loaded Nitro Type quickly and ran the animations decently well. The keyboard, however, was not my favorite. This will vary depending on what mid-range laptop you're looking at, but the keyboard on this particular one was just okay. Nothing too great, but not too bad either. The screen was fine. It had good brightness, color accuracy, and was large enough to easily read off of. Most screens in this computer category tend to be fairly similar, but every model will be different. The build quality is durable. This particular laptop was made out of metal, but varying laptops in this price range will usually be built pretty well. The weight of this laptop is really lightweight. Most laptops in this category also tend to be fairly lightweight. The battery life on this is good. I would feel safe going out and typing on this without it being plugged into the charger for pretty long periods of time. Of course, different models vary, but any laptop with a decent sized battery and normal specs should have decent battery life. If you're a content creator, a mid-range laptop like the one I've tested should work fine. It runs Nitro Type well, and while it may possibly lag a little bit if recording or streaming, it should still be very usable assuming you are using the right recording settings. If you want to edit videos, you could do this as well, although it would be a little bit harder for most mid-range laptops to do this. This would mostly depend on your specs, but again, it should be fine as long as you aren't working with super high resolution and high frame rate footage. For session efficiency, it took me 6 minutes and 33 seconds to do 10 races at a fixed speed of around 100 words per minute. This means that the average race time on this laptop is 39.3 seconds, which means that a 100 race session would take 1 hour, 5 minutes, and 30 seconds to do. As for the price, the laptop I tested here costs $400. Pricing will vary depending on what mid-range laptop you're looking at and how long ago it came out. Now it's time to get out the heavy machinery, the gaming laptop. It loads things fast and runs the animations super smoothly. Everything, even with ads, feels pretty responsive compared to the last two. The keyboard feels great. Of every laptop I've ever typed on, this one by far has the best membrane keyboard of all of them that I've tried. This will vary depending on what gaming laptop you may be considering, but most tend to have pretty good keyboards. The screen is also great. It has a high refresh rate of 144 Hz, which means that it is capable of showing more frames per second than a normal display, which only does 60 Hz, which means it only refreshes itself 60 times a second. This one does 144 times a second, so it makes everything look way smoother. The build quality is pretty good. It feels durable enough to take places and not worry, but I would have liked to see more metal at this price point. Although this laptop is not new, the new ones may actually be made out of metal. I don't know. One of the downfalls of this gaming laptop and just about any other gaming laptop is the weight. This one weighs a lot for a laptop, but it still is easy enough to carry around. The battery life on this thing is not great. I recently upgraded it to a larger 80 watt-hour battery, and that has improved the battery life, but I wouldn't want to take this thing anywhere without the charger. This computer will, however, perform really well for content creators. It can run Nitro Type smoothly while recording and streaming, and it is able to edit pretty well. This is partially thanks to its dedicated graphics processing unit, which is something you'll find in every true gaming laptop. This one in particular has an RTX 2060 from Nvidia. For session efficiency, it took me 6 minutes and 36 seconds to do 10 races at a fixed speed. This means that the average race time for this laptop is 39.6 seconds per race, which means that a 100 race session will take 1 hour and 6 minutes to do. As for the price, this particular model costs $1,200, although you could get a new one that performs the same for cheaper, or one at the same price that performs better. Remember, this laptop is a few years old. Finally, let's end with the gaming PC. Of all the computers, this one is definitely the fastest. It's a custom-built gaming PC that I built last summer, and it's chewed through anything I can throw at it, including this challenge. Because this is a desktop computer, it does not come with a keyboard. You have to supply your own. I use a custom keyboard built from the Monsgeek M1 kit, and it feels great to type on. The desktop also doesn't come with a screen. I use a 165 Hz gaming monitor as the main display, which looks great. It's super bright, has good color accuracy, and is very smooth. The build quality is solid. The tower itself is made out of glass and metal, but I wouldn't want it to fall from any sort of height. The physical build quality is not something you usually care about too much when it comes to gaming PCs, because you won't be regularly transporting it anywhere. As long as it stays together and is durable enough, everything will be fine. As for the weight, it weighs a lot. Tempered glass and metal are not lightweight materials, neither is the graphics card, power supply, or motherboard, which all have a fair bit of metal on them. There is no battery life in this thing because it's a desktop computer. I do actually have my desktop hooked up to a battery backup, but it's not intended to be used as the source of power for more than 15 or 30 minutes, only enough to save your work and shut down your computer in the event of a loss of power. This thing works great for content creators. I've been able to record and stream at the same time with no problems, and I can edit in whatever resolution I want. For session efficiency, it took me 6 minutes and 22 seconds to do 10 races at a fixed speed of around 100 words per minute. This means that the average race time on this PC is 38.2 seconds per race, which means that a 100 race session would take 1 hour, 3 minutes, and 40 seconds to do. The price for my particular build does change depending on parts availability, but it currently sits at around $1,800, not including the keyboard, mouse, or monitors. This price will change depending on what type of PC you may be looking at, and I don't recommend building out a PC of this caliber if you just want to play Nitro Type and make videos. You can go way cheaper and get just as good results. I do have other plans for my PC, which is why I built it out to the level I did. If you can take away anything from this video, it should be this. You don't have to spend a lot of money to get a computer that will run Nitro Type really well. You can even record, stream, and edit on a regular laptop, assuming that you find one with good specs. As you saw, the regular laptop and gaming laptop had these same loading times within a margin of error. 1 second of difference, as we saw, is definitely not due to the processing speed of the computers. When it comes to shopping around for a computer, do your research and find one with good specs and a good price. Don't buy the first one you see within your price range. Get at least a 4-core processor from a recent-ish generation, 16 gigs of RAM, and at least half a terabyte of storage. If you're going with a desktop PC, I highly recommend building your own. It's way easier than people realize and is much more cost-effective. You also tend to get higher quality parts too, which is especially important when you're considering power supplies. There are a ton of build guides you can follow step by step, and you can even buy the exact same parts as them. They make these guides so that you can get the most for your money. If you learned anything from today's video, please consider liking and subscribing. It's always super appreciated. Have a great day, and I will see you all in the next one.